Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us this week as our special guest from the depths of the Black Library itself, let's be honest, the Queen of the Silver Skulls chapter, let's be honest, because you are. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Cawkwell.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for coming onto the show.
You're very welcome, thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. So, how is everyone doing today?
Can't complain, it's the end of the week, it's nearly the Easter holiday, and there's a giant pile of Lumineth on Saturday. Ha-ha! So yes, good, thank you.
I'm similarly good. I finished work today for a whole week, and it's like gold dust right now. It's brilliant.
Oh, I can imagine. So, for those listeners who may not be quite familiar with your work, Sarah, would you like to give us a brief introduction into what novels you've written and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as well as the 40k stuff, predominantly the Silver Skulls in the form of stories, novels such as The Gildar Rift and Portents. I've also done a number of short stories for the Silver Skulls for Black Library. And on top of that, I've also written in the Warhammer Fantasy before it became Age of Sigmar and before everything else changed. And who knows where we are. But predominantly that was Valkyr the Bloody, with various other little short stories popping in here and there. More recently, I've done a couple of short stories in the Warcry universe, and I have most recently had a short story published with a Deathwatch squad, so that was fun.
Ooh, nice. What story was that, out of curiosity?
The story's called Awake, and it's in the Long Vigil Deathwatch anthology that was released not so long ago. And I think possibly the most fun that I had with it was deciding which chapters I was going to pull on to actually put characters into the story. That was just so much fun.
Yeah, what chapters did you put into that one, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'll let you guess one. Go on. Guess.
Did you get Silver Skulls?
The Silver Skulls? How did you guess? So, yeah, there's a Silver Skulls Tech Marine, actually, in that story. There is a Black Templar. There's White Scars, there's a Mantis Warrior, and there's a Salamander.
That's a very eclectic mix.
I was going to say, we haven't seen the Mantis Warriors since Bandai War and their Penitent Crusade that nearly wiped them out. So that would be very interesting to reflect on sort of whether they were there before Badab, whether they've sort of come back and anew, and what reaction they've had in the Death Watch to... Oh, right. That's on the indefinitely never-ending list of books I need to pick up at some point because I'm...
There's a lot of fun short stories in that anthology, actually. It's a cracker. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes people think of a faction in Black Library and think they are the voice. So, like, for example, as we mentioned today, yourself, Silver Skulls, people think Phil Kelly is the Tau guy because he writes the Farsight novels, or Gav Thorpe is the Eldar guy, or David Annandale is the vampire guy, among many other things. And Steve Parker is who I think of when I think of Death Watch. So it'll be interesting to get another take on the Watch outside of the Talon Squad microverse.
Yeah, it's it was definitely fun because I mean I love Death Watch anyway. I mean we did quite a bit of Death Watch tabletop roleplay a few years back, and I had so much fun with that. And the Death Watch is just a great concept. I really, really enjoyed writing in that world.
Yeah, I can absolutely imagine.
So yes, that's the kind of thing that I have been doing.
Yeah, I remember actually, I read The Gildar Rift. God, it was what was it? 2000.
A long time ago.
I want to say 2010, but I also feel like that's too early.
No, you're about right. I think sort of 2010, 2011, I think would be about right.
Yeah, because my friend was actually a Red Corsairs player and was massively into Red Corsairs. I'd nearly started Red Corsairs, so I bought it more for Huron Blackheart because obviously at the time the Silver Skulls were not nobody, but much less known than the Red Corsairs, which is probably why Huron's on the front cover. But it was definitely a really interesting dive into a chapter, and you don't forget chapters like that. And that's, I think sometimes with Space Marines, you've got to remember that people think that Space Marines, Ultramarine, Guilliman, Bolter, Power Armor, high, stupid floating grav tank, high, and then you're done. but all that variety, that particularly the older chapters, like the Templars that you mentioned, the Mantis Warriors, the Astral Claws before they went Corsair, and the Silver Skulls, those unique chapters stick with you. Like the Death Spectres, who don't even have their own novel, and again, sorry, I'm singing Steve Parker's praises again, and Karras, who was so good as a Death Spectre in the Death Watch novels that I went and researched everything I could find on the damn Death Spectres. And the same thing with the Silver Skulls. Going on and doing the research to make a video on them was very refreshing to just go back and see it all again.
Yeah, I mean, Huron Blackheart is such a draw anyway. I mean, I have such a soft spot for him. Raving nutter that he is.
Absolutely. Do you actually collect tables? I know you mentioned TTRPG, but do you actually have an army of your own?
I do. It's Silver Skulls.
Ask a stupid question, Tactica.
There may be a borderline obsession going on. So, or maybe I should take a step back. Maybe I should take several steps back.
So I have to ask then, given the, as you put it, obsession, who pitched to do Silver Skulls? Was it you read their bits of backstory and said, I want to write that? Or were you given Silver Skulls and told to go nuts and you kind of built your own obsession out of nothing?
Then, the first Silver Skull story that I wrote essentially started out as just me writing because I enjoyed reading the books. And my husband and my son were both big into collecting the Warhammer stuff. And I hadn't really started doing it at that point, although I'd read a lot of the books. And I thought, I really like these guys. I'm going to write a story about some. And there used to be a forum for the Black Library where people would gather and talk. And when they stopped doing that, I set up my own forum at the time, which was the Black Library Bolt Hole. And all of the people who liked the writing and everything that was attached to that sort of clustered up in this little group. And there was a whole pile of us who were really interested in fleshing out a number of chapters. And the Silver Skulls was one of those chapters that we all used to talk about. And I sort of started adopting my ideas that I was putting in and building on them. And it was a lot of fun to take this chapter about whom virtually nothing was really known other than they put great stock in sort of omens and portents and the superstition element of them, and to actually make that into something more usable. The Gildar Rift pitch came about because I was looking through the codex of the day, and there was a single paragraph. It wasn't even a paragraph. I think it was 2 sentences in there about something, the Silver Skulls and the Gildar Rift, blah, 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 blah. And I went to my editor at the time, can I write this story? And he went, yeah, go on then. And it was a bit more complicated than that, but yeah, that was essentially what it was.
Yeah, because it's always fascinating hearing like how things come about. Like I always remember Josh Reynolds saying he wrote the Lucas the Trickster novel on a dare, and or on a bet, one of the two. And it's always interesting just hearing out how the process comes around, like whether novels are assigned to you or you see something and you pitch it and it goes back and forth. And then obviously, particularly if it's your own ideas that it's come from this forum, as you describe, it's got to go through QA, and all your like fan forum canon now has to get GW approved. I can imagine it's quite a lot of back and forth in QA, though I appreciate if you can't talk about it, I appreciate that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean with the Silver Skulls, one of the things that was also a draw originally was in said codex of the day. It basically said that the founding chapter was unknown, which was a real, how can I play with this one? And then a later codex of the day came out and plopped them straight into the Ultramarines camp, which isn't terrible for reasons with a capital R.
It's the expected, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the sort of early founding chapters anyway. So yeah, it makes perfect sense in my very small head. Yes.
And it's quite interesting that how opposite they are, because obviously Heresy era Ultramarines were all theoretical, practical. We do this will happen. Very much reason, logic, do cause and effect, diddly dee. And the Silver Skulls go, we have visions of the future and they shape our actions. None of this think it through, Lark. No, we have a vision and we go do it. It's so anti-Ultramarine.
I have this lovely vision in my head of Gulliman sitting there talking to Argentius and going, so, Should we have a chat? I think there's a lovely moment in my head where they actually talk about what they've become, and it's yeah.
Yeah, it's the Ferris Manus Iron Hands conversation, only a million times more awkward.
Yeah, it's sort of like Argentia sort of dragging his toe in the dirt, going, "Sorry."
Absolutely. But it is fun having those chapters with unknown history, like who's the one? The Black Dragons. He going back to Space Marine battles. That's it. Is at Gildar Rift lives in with David Annandale and the Black Dragons, and with the ones with the Wolverine wrist bone thingy-mabobs who were like the size of Primaris before Primaris were a thing.
Wolverine, it's Baraka Blades from Mortal Kombat.
Yes, sorry, all right, fine. I was trying to be more topical for people who don't play 18+ fighting games. Deal with it. You know what I mean? But yes, Baraka Blades, fine. But everyone was speculating, like, who are they? Where did they come from? Far more interesting than they are just... and obviously last week, Rem and I, we were talking about the Exorcist being Sons of Dawn all of a sudden, and it was like, oh, well, there goes all the mystique. Hang on. Well, not all of it, but it's definitely, when it gets locked, it's almost a bit of a, oh, okay then, when it gets locked in like that. Because I remember actually, when I did my video on the Silver Skulls back in, when did I do it? 2018. My literal first paragraph talks about how they sort of act like Ultramarines and all that, but I'd be fascinated to see how they'd react to the White Scars and the Master of the Hunt and all of this stuff.
You say that, and when I said I started writing the Gildar Rift and they were an unknown founding chapter, I may have had a particular chapter in mind for them, but yeah.
And I mean, the name is so on the nose.
The thoughts out of my head.
Well, there's so on the nose as well, because the White Scars lined the road to the Fortress Monastery with skulls coated in liquid silver. And now we've got this chapter called The Silver Skulls. That wasn't even your design point, no. And it lines up so freaking perfectly.
Yeah, but you're right. It is fun to take sort of lesser known chapters. In one of the other Space Marine battles, the anthology one, A Cursed Eternity, the story that I did in Architect of Fate.
Oh, I was that the one with the Star Dragons in it?
The Star Dragons and the Blood Swords, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, who are these guys? Never heard of them. Let's use them.
It's always nice when an obscure chapter gets some love. I mean, I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed about Aaron Dembski-Bowden's Spear of the Emperor, because one of the main characters was a mentor, and it's like the mentors never get any attention.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were to sing the praise of Spears of the Emperor for shining light on an unknown chapter. He made the Emperor's spears up, but yes, they're Mentor Legion, yes.
No, I think they were around before. They just literally had absolutely no lore before then at all.
Oh.
I think they were just the Emperor's spears are a chapter.
Oh, I thought you made them up.
I think they are around since at least 7th edition, I think. I could be wrong, though.
Well, it shows how obscure they are if I've never heard of them before that novel. So either way, it works.
I mean, in fairness, there's a lot of chapters a lot of people haven't heard of, to be honest.
Accurate. Though this begs the question, I suppose, and obviously if you've got a current project on the go, you can't talk about that, that's fine. But in terms of, is there a chapter that you've read about more recently, say in the 8th and 9th edition with the advent of the era of Primaris and all that, that you think, I'd quite like to Silver Skull them, to give them that treatment? Is there any particular chapter that's caught your eye?
Yeah, no. I will make a terrifyingly honest confession here, is I'm falling behind quite a lot with the lore.
Oh, don't worry, that's normal. We do this for a living, and we're miles.
I find the older I get, the less brain cells I have to retain information, and it's like I'm keeping up with a lot of it. And I mean, there are certainly a lot of fantastic new ideas that have come out in the last few years, and it's just a joy to see how the whole world is developing. From because I think to a point it was almost too static. It was too 1 minute to midnight, if you know what I mean. And it's nice to see it get that nudge that it needs to push it forward a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think we were stuck at 999 M41 since.
Oh, it got to the point of being 99999999997 at one point.
No. I'll tell you what happened. It got to the 13th Black Crusade, Then it got reset, and there's like, no, that never happened, and then went back to the 13th Grand Crusade again.
Yeah, the greatest retcon in the history of retcons. The 13th Black Crusade never happened.
It would be like it being constantly 1 minute to home time on a Friday. Can you imagine?
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, as a teacher, yeah, constantly stuck in last period at the end of the week. Granted, it's not a bad class I have at that time, but oh God, no.
This would be after they've all gone and you're just there on your own in the room, and that clock just stops and never goes forward any further, and you're sat there on the edge of just leaving, but you can't. And that's what living in the 40k universe is like.
Well, at least they get on my marking done, I guess.
Well, one thing I do want to ask, though, will we ever get a sequel to Portents?
Maybe. I hope so. I have a lot of plans.
I actually do, because it's saying the open ends that were left in the end of that novel. It's like, well, I want to know what was on the data crystal. Tell me.
No, I can't. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. It's classified. It's so classified that even I'm not sure. That may be a lie.
It's all right, I'm with the Inquisition.
Yeah, don't try and pull that one on an actual Black Library author. You're not going to get that far.
If I was remotely capable of quirking one eyebrow upwards, I'd be doing that right now.
But yes, as much as it is fun to reminisce, and we will get back to a few of your questions from the comments later on in the show, there is a lot going on, a little bit of news, and I think it's at least worth flicking through it, since, you know, there was a preview at the weekend, and it's probably worth mentioning it.
Was there? Must have missed that.
How? So yes, the Faith and Damnation online preview, which took place on Saturday, the 20th of March, and saw the reveal of the Soulblight Gravelords with new Blood Knights, new Skeleton Warriors, new Zombies, new Fellbats, a new Battle Tome, and diddly diddly dee. The return of Not Quite Orion, this guy who I think is called Kargath, which seems to be the Kenothi coming to Broken Realms. I am here for all of that. New Wood Elves, please. The Bone Reapers with the biggest boy you've ever seen in Warhammer Underworlds. The Redemptionists revealed for Necromunda in the House of Faith book. A new Hive War box game pitting Delac against Escher. And for Warhammer 40,000, a Skitarii... what's it called? Marshall leading a new Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, a Sisters of Battle, not Predator, and also blooming Orc Squig Riders. You are not letting me not talk about this.
We're getting our Snakebite boys back, and it's a good day.
Talk about it. Do it.
Like I wasn't in the best mood watching this preview. Like, oh, thing. Okay, that's a thing. And then this came on, and I just could not stop laughing. They are so stupid, and I love them. They're amazing.
I think it's like the first we've had anything close to Ball Boy since, like, what, 3rd edition?
At least in 40k, yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved the trailer, like this like cave art writing of the Orc story. You get a lovely new War Boss miniature. You've got the Beast Snaggers, which is the name of this like group. I suppose these Squig Riders, and yeah, all of this, please. New Squigoth model, please. New Orc Codex, please. Yes.
So you like it then?
Yes, just a little. Because Orcs were my first army in 40k. Admittedly, I've gone very much over to AOS in more recent years, and yeah, my wallet is going to suffer tomorrow when Lumineth come out. But Orcs will always be my first home, and yeah. All of this, please. All of this. Please.
This probably sounds completely crazy, but to a certain extent, I've always found that the Orcs are quite joyful. There's something really joyful about them.
Absolutely. You know, they have fun in what they do. They enjoy crumping your head in and charging around the place. So, of course, everyone's going to have fun along with them.
I mean, how can you not identify with that?
I'm saying nothing.
Also, not related to the Orc, but going back to the Sisters of Battle briefly, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that their sisters are actually getting their own unique tank?
Are we really calling it unique?
So pretty.
It's like a cross between a Predator and a Lehman Russ.
Rem, it's a Predator. It's just a Predator with a new gun.
With an additional heavy bolter at the front? Because Predators don't have the gun at the front below the turret, do they?
Oh. You see how little I play Space Marines? I didn't even know. But yeah, it was interesting. I was chatting in my Discord server about this, and people were saying, like, is this really sisters? Because someone was saying they're really like, it's like they're trying to do female Space Marines without doing female Space Marines by giving the sisters everything the Space Marines have with these heavy armored units and
to be honest, I think it's just Sisters of Battle getting actually expanded into a proper army for a change, considering, like, for the longest time, the only tanks they had were the Rhino and the Immolator.
And the Exorcist.
Maybe the Repulsor. Yeah, but that's just still based on the Rhino chassis, though, isn't it?
I mean, technically, so is this, if you believe everything the preview says. But yeah, it was just interesting, like, do we want a game of 40k where every army can do everything? And I'm not going to fall either side on the issue. It was just an interesting debate that a few people were having of, is this really sistersy to give them a tank that doesn't have a single, I mean, bolt weapons are sacred to them as well. But it was just an interesting discussion that people were having about, like, how sistersy it really is to give them this kind of a tank. I'm not complaining. It was just an interesting debate.
They got to get through heavy armor somehow.
Called a melter gun.
I tell you what, I like. I'm still sitting here looking at it, and I like the blend and curve. That sounds ridiculous, but there's something really nice about the aesthetic of that model. I really like it.
It does look great. Yeah, it is really nice look to it.
I like a little shrine on the side of the tank tracks.
Well, you've got to have your shrine readily available at any time.
Yeah, and the fact the exhaust ports look more like braziers, which is a really neat touch as well.
The Death Cathedral.
That's the Exorcist, but yes, absolutely. And I really like the Skitarii Marshal, the new HQ character that you get. So now you don't have to take a Tech Priest in your army. So eventually they've given the Mechanicus the equivalent to a Primaris Lieutenant in the form of the Skitarii Marshal, and I love this model.
I just realized he's got like the Roman style crest and the gladius as well.
Yeah, it is really good. Yes, please. The gun, like with the crest being more like a cog symbol, the rod of authority. It's like, yeah, absolutely. And the Mechanicus Codex, the artwork for this is really cool as well, with the Tech Priest who's got so many limbs doing so many things, still in the middle of prayer whilst also running around with laser cutters and a massive axe and all of this. And it's really quite cool and should be a really nice blend now that they've added in the Skitarii Cavalry, the Cerberus, and the cowboy ones. I've forgotten their names, sorry.
Are we sure that's not just Belisarius Core on the cover?
I mean, my first assumption was that it was, but then they don't really put named characters on the cover most of the time. So part of me thinks it isn't, but also who else could it be? Because it's a huge servo harness mechadendrite pile. It really is.
Oh, also, something that went on pre-order today, we finally got the Word Bearers Praetors for Horus Heresy from Forge World.
Yes, we did. I don't even know when they were revealed. A long time ago.
A long time ago. But they're available now, so yay.
And if you haven't got enough setting things on fire in your life, may I interest you in a Redemptionist cult?
We can always use Redemptionist cult, because they're just absolute nutters.
Yeah, and it was interesting the way they talked about them lore-wise, because the way they talk about them is that you can sprinkle them, this Redemptionist models, into a Cawdor gang, sort of as like rogue hangers-on, or you can make an entirely unique warband out of them. And it's just a nice bit of balancing up the flavour of the Redemptionists being like Cawdor, but also not officially part of Cawdor. But they look really cool either way. Like, there's a guy who's got more fire than he has hair. Grizzled.
That's just most Redemptionists in general.
True.
I mean, have you not seen Clovis the Redeemer?
I mean, yes.
like the very definition of 40k excess. You know, I have a chainsaw with a flamethrower and my head is on fire. And
Yeah.
I'm also on fire.
And there is a model like that in this unit. You've got a guy who's got the chainsword with a flamethrower built in the middle of it, and the hair is sculpted in very wild orange paint scheme to look like it's on fire. It's a really nice sculpt, that one. And with the half mask as well. I'll just grab a quick image.
I will say these are my favourite designs for the Eviscerator. I prefer the standard chainsaw look over the massive chainsword look, personally.
Because a chainsword is great, but when you think of Eviscerator, you think of something doing much more visceral damage than that.
I've always been kind of weirdly amused by the warning stripes on a chainsword. It's like, okay, I think we know it's dangerous. The way it's hacking through everything ahead of me, yeah, I've got the idea. You don't have to rub it in.
You can just imagine, like, they treat him like claymore mines, like this end towards enemy. Let's be honest, for a space wolf, you probably need that warning because that's not that intelligent. Ooh. Some subtle shade there, but never mind.
Yeah, working back up. Oh, sorry.
So, but what's better than a massive chainsaw? A chainsaw that's got a built-in flamethrower.
Two
Because why
chainsaws.
not? With built-in
Two
flamethrowers.
chainsaws. Yeah,
Two
yeah,
chainsaws with
wow.
built-in flamethrowers.
Wow, that's it. I've died and gone to heaven. That's it. I'm in my happy place.
Yes, absolutely. However, if you like your weapons a bit more, well, rudimentary, then may I raise you the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, who gain their first ever Archer, as well as, I think, minus maybe Mollog, the biggest hero Underworld has ever seen, who's doing his best Fabius Bile impression with a giant cloak of stitched together flesh, even though he's a bone giant and all of this stuff. It's a really nice model, and I get the feeling that Ossiarch players are going to be very happy with these overall. I certainly would be. And then, of course, the vampires be back. The new Blood Knights.
Oh, yeah. These look actually really nice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about them the first time. Like, when they were being revealed, I wasn't sure about the new Blood Knights. And those who know me, I am obsessed with chunky, heavy cavalry. And to me, Blood Knights, especially before the days of Dracoth cavalry and Varangard, were the gold standard of chunky, heavy cavalry from the Warhammer Fantasy days. They were, not model-wise, but in terms of lore and aesthetic, they were the gold standard. So I was really surprised that I wasn't taking on them the first time, but the more I look at them, I'm like, yeah, chunky,
so many
heavy
sharp edges.
cavalry. Oh god, yeah, like not suitable for age 12, 11 minus has never applied to modern,
Not suitable for anyone with fingers. Absolutely beautiful. Really lovely things. I'm always overwhelmed by the beauty of the painting quality in these things. You know, my approach to painting is throw paint at it and hope.
It's a very orky approach.
Well, yeah.
And the one thing I really like is, in terms of the paint scheme, is that the steeds, the barding on the steeds is a deep crimson red, but the Blood Knights are a really shocking bright red. So it helps to contrast, because it could have been red overload, but they've really contrasted it well. And the lances, can we just take a second on the lances? Because they look so chunky. And I'm saying this as an elven player who has very spindly lances. These lances look like impalement stakes. They are going to go through you and never stop going through you. They are brutal.
So basically, these lancers look like lancers.
Well, yes. Sorry. Yes. Pointy ear. Sorry. Captain Pointy Ears over here is just used to one type of lance, and it's the spindly stabby type, not the super chunky stabby type.
Yeah, no, they're lovely.
We also got the new bats.
They really are nice, aren't they?
I like how one's hugging a giant stone. It's like, I'm hugging this rock.
It's my rock, and I love it.
Yeah, and they've taken a lot of the Warhammer Quest Cursed City aesthetics from the Ulfen Watch and the Dead Walkers, and used that to flesh out new skeleton warriors, the Death Rattle skeletons, armed with either spears or hand weapons, or the new Dead Walker zombies, who, again, just sort of take a lot of the old things that made the zombies cool, added in that sort of unnatural, shyish aesthetic that Death's got going for it, as well as keeping the idea of you've been impaled by your own gravestone, just stay dead already aesthetic that they had from Cursed City as well. Which, again, they're really nice models. I'm not a Death player, I never will be, but they are, well, not with this army anyway, but they are really, really nice models. And the cover art, like literally, I saw the cover art for the first time and I was just in shock at how good this cover art is. It is, I know the art team we can never stop praising the art team enough, but oh, by Nagash, wow. That artwork is amazing.
Oh, it is, yeah.
It's like something you'd see on an Iron Maiden cover or something.
Right.
The skeleton down in the bottom does look quite surprised, though. It's like, oh.
Is that matching phone away? We're matching to war.
Probably admiring the lance that's just pierced it.
Yeah, He-Man. Sorry. At the point, who would that make Hamilcar the He-Man of Age of Sigmar?
I mean, Hamilcar is just the biggest walking meme to ever meme.
So yes, okay.
But actually, there was another vampire revealed in New Model Monday, which was, what's her name? Lady Annika, the Thirsting Blade, which is another vampire with this amazingly long oval base. We had the Rat King, the Rat Prince, sorry, last week, not the Rat King, the Rat Prince with the like cloak of rats flowing behind him, and this girl's got just such a long cloak. Like that's bridal gown levels of long cloaks. But also, what a hair day! Like her hair has been sculpted into horns. The
oval bases allow for that dynamic flow of that. There's something really, really pretty about that whole thing.
Absolutely. And it talks.
She reminds me of like a cross between Pennywise and Hexadecimal.
That's a combination.
I wonder if anyone actually watching actually knows who Hexadecimal is.
I don't.
Wait, so you've not seen Reboot then, have you?
No.
The original series, not the reboot of Reboot, because the reboot of Reboot was rubbish.
The reboot of Reboot, oh god.
Yeah.
Too late in the day, I can't, no.
Right.
Yeah, Hex had the constantly changing mask to reflect her moods. Like, she didn't have facial expression, she just changed mask constantly, which is what's reminded me of that mask. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Other news, obviously there's a giant pile of Lumineth out this. Yes, shut up and take my money. I'm buying like all of it, barring the calligraph. We got a bunch of technical things as well. A look at Necromunda Hired Gun. We got some screenshots from the Hammer and Bolter anthology. And I think that covers that side of things, I think. And also some screenshots or bits and bobs from Altar of Wrath, the Black Templars animation that they're really pushing the photorealism.
Oh yeah, wasn't this the one that was it used to be called The Last Templar or something?
I'm assuming so. Yes, which you may recognize as the project formerly known as Primaris the Templar. Yes.
Right. Okay.
So we get the helmet of the chaplain character and also their face under the helmet, as well as the Crozius with a nice little spinny animation and a ridiculously OTT-looking assault cannon. Yes, please.
That's like
more OTT, the better.
Terminators. It looks exactly like the modifications used specifically for Terminators in this regard.
Well, it is just a hulking Terminator warrior, Brother Harlex, so yes, that makes.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully it's not going to be like that situation in Space Hulk Deathwing, which had a brief moment as a flashback with a Black Templar's librarian.
Oops.
That was just weird.
Oops. Hang on. No. Oops.
Yeah, I remember talking about this ages ago. I haven't touched that game since it got to the point where it kept killing you when it was halfway loading. It would load up to 80%. It gets like 80% loaded, then go straight to the "you died" screen. It's like, I haven't even played yet. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. And then we got a bunch of screenshots from different bits of Hammer and Bolt, the animated anthology. So we got a screenshot from the Inquisition Assassinorum one with an Inquisitor pointing their bolt pistol. We've got a sister guarding a shrine, a Eldari Spirit Seer making Sith Lightning look jealous, a little knowledge in the dusty corners of the librarium. I don't recognize that sigil on like the Inquisitorial eye that they've got here. I'm not sure.
We got a screenshot for that.
Yeah, I'll just drop it in now. It's this one. Oh, come on, big image. It's this one right here. There's a strange sort of backwards six.
That's the Administratum, isn't it?
Is it? I thought they had the Aquila on the eye. Let me give me a sec. I'll go have a look.
It's one of the the Administratum's symbol.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is. Oh, okay. Oops. Fair enough. My apologies.
It's a how-to book on imperial bureaucracy. Make sure you are 50 years late when reciting paperwork. Okie dokie.
We get some Space Wolf aspirants because you can't have enough of your Vince McMahon fantasies of big sweaty men. There you go. With that's a reference that only a few people are going to get. And then
Hi, Sam.
Yes, hi Sam. And finally, Commissar freaking Yarrick.
Oh, is this the origin story?
Old
animation?
Baelai.
Ah.
So I'll drop that one in now. It's got Stompers, Gorkanauts, and Yarrick pre-Power Claw, or maybe Yarrick just after he lost his arm to a Power Claw.
Oh, so this would be Armageddon 2 then, wouldn't it?
It would be. I forget the name of the war boss who took his arm, and then he took the arm of that war boss. What was that war boss's name?
Part of me wants to say Snagrod, but I don't think that's it.
No, Snagrod is the Archarsonist of Sheridan.
That's it, yeah.
And I want to say Nazdreg, but I know that's wrong because that's
Yeah, no, it's not Nazdreg. No, it's not Nazdreg.
Yeah, that's Basina 4. So yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember. Comments. You know what to do.
Uglehard. Warboss Uglehard.
Fair enough. Comments. You can call off your search. I haven't worked it out. Fair enough. But yeah, lots of really cool stuff here. It's not my favorite animation style, but that one of Yarrick really, really interests me because, again, orcs. But yeah, really good stuff there. Really good stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing when that comes out. Do they give a date?
To be honest, I'd just be happy with getting something more with Yarrick because we haven't had anything about him for God knows how long now.
Yeah, there was. He had a sort of origin story around 2016 or so. He had two, one around his early career and one around Golgotha, I feel like.
It was Imperial Creed and Chains of Golgotha, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that was around 2016, 17, maybe 2018. As I recall.
The last we heard, him and the Black Templars went on the road trip to look for Ghazghkull. Ghazghkull's buggered off, then he's come back, and we've got no sign of Yarrick, so where the hell have you been? Where are you, Yarrick?
Sounds about right.
Where in the warp is Commissar Yarrick? I'm glad someone got that joke.
Yes, and if you are more in the realm of action figures, then Bandai has their next Space Marine action figure ready to go, and it's a White Scar.
Or as some people have called it, it was what's it? Space David Bowie.
How can there be a Space David Bowie? He's already a Space David Bowie. What?
It's future Space David Bowie. There we go. How about that? Is that better? Oh, have we got a head desk already?
Just that joke was so bad. But actually, this is.
I wasn't even the one who came up with that joke. It was on Twitter.
Before we get distracted, this thing is out on pre-order right now at the time of publishing, and it will be available until Saturday. It is on sale for 1 week only on the web store from the 27th of March, which is the Saturday after we're recording this show. So it will go away again Saturday, the 3rd of April. So if you want it, get in quick.
I do want to say, I wish they painted the skull on the center chest plate, different color rather than just red.
Isn't that typical White Scars, though?
I imagine they had, the skull was actually, painted a skull color.
I feel like the wings are usually
The
red.
wings are normally red, yeah, but the skull was normally, painted like a skull rather than just a big blob.
Or maybe even gold or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't photograph well. Maybe it looks better up close.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean, I haven't got any of the Bandai miniatures, but I'm sure they do look really good.
Yeah. I wonder if this one actually come with unique accessories, because the Imperial Fist one had a bolter that had the grenade launcher, didn't it?
Well, this one's got a scope. Is that unique?
No, the Ultramarines one's got a scope.
Never mind then. He's got a knife.
Yeah, so it's the Ultramarines one. I've got the Ultramarine one sitting across me right now.
Fair enough.
I didn't get the Salamander or the Imperial Fist one because I didn't have enough money at the time, and I wasn't going to drop like 200 quid on them, so I was like, no.
Nope. But yeah,
I'm sure someone will. But
yeah, I'm sure someone does. But yeah, it is a shame. As you mentioned, Chainsword. Why haven't we got a Chainsword one yet? Yes, please.
They'll probably save that for the Space Wolf or something.
Or the Blood Angel, yeah.
I imagine they'll give a Blood Angel more of a power sword. I don't know why.
Yeah, it depends on what route they go down. If you go classic Blood Angel, then yeah, they might go sword. But they generally go for intercessors rather than characters or sergeants or anything like that.
It can be an assault intercessor then. How about that?
Yeah, but they have chainswords. So
yeah, true. Use that for the Space Wolf one in either case. But anyway, what else is there?
The Drukhari Codex is out. I don't know how good it is, but it's a thing. It's out. You've got rules coming for the Cursed City models in Age of Sigmar. Good. Not Cursed City. Warzone Charadon, I believe, is also out. If you are picking up the Book of Rust and all the things associated with it. And the rest of it has predominantly been Lumineth, aside from a mention of Volkite weapons for Titanicus and new Sisters of Battle books that are on their way. So here's what you need to read first.
Fair enough.
I think that covers it. I mentioned earlier Necromunda Hired Gun. I don't know if anyone's interested.
Oh, the first-person shooter. That looks so good. It really does.
It's made by the Space Hulk Deathwing people, so...
Yeah, that's... If they've managed to iron out the bugs from Deathwing, then there is potential there. There's potential, but I'm cautiously optimistic, because it does look really good. God, I hope it's not as buggy as Deathwing, though. I really do. Well,
we'll find out on the 1st of June.
Yes. Right. Now, Sarah, I know you mentioned in a message briefly that you may have to shoot off early, so if it's alright with you, we'll do the questions from fans that may have been addressed to you now, if that's okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Let me... I had one and then I've lost it because I had to reload the tab. Sorry.
So I didn't mean to spring you unaware.
No, it's fine. I should have seen that coming.
What you need is a prognosticator. They'd have sorted you out.
Hey,
well done. Yeah. Okay. So I guess sort of the first one, moving away from just Silver Skulls, is what about Warhammer actually excites you? What got you into reading it, writing for it, collecting it? Obviously, I know you mentioned your family earlier, but what excites you about Warhammer?
Oh, lots of things. And it plays right across all of the different worlds that they have as well. I grew up reading a lot of fantasy and science fiction stuff, and I've never found Warhammer 40k to be just another science fiction thing. It's got so many deep elements in it that it's easy at times when you're reading the books to forget it even belongs to a game, because there's such depth to the background and the lore, and there's so much thought gone into this, and I think a lot of people overlook Warhammer and its associated fiction as being, oh, that's far too niche even for us. And it's got some of the best stories around that I like. I mean, I will always come back to the fact that I'm a huge fan of Space Marines. It comes right down to that. And I love the whole concept of these perpetual teenagers running around the galaxy creating havoc. I love it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you very much. Okay, this one might take a bit. If you could write or read, and I quote, a collaboration between any of the characters you've read and any other Warhammer character, or if you can't think of one, between any other Warhammer unlikely pairings, who would you like that combination to be? So they give an example here of Caiaphas Cain and Commissar Yarrick, sort of two characters that might work together or share a book, but you wouldn't normally find together, or you'd like someone to cameo in one of your works with one of the bits you've written.
Up here in Hamilcar.
I'm trying to picture that.
I'm just being totally random on purpose.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture that. I'm just like,
I'm thinking who could I put Huron Blackheart with? Who could he go? Who could he have a fun book with? Oh, that's a good one. There's Huron Blackheart with just about anybody, really. I mean, he always does everything for his own ends anyhow, so he'd team up with anybody. He'd probably kill them at the end of it, but he'd team up with them.
Oh, what about Fabius Bile?
The Corpse Master and Fabius Bile.
Oh god, that's a combo. But yeah, you've got like someone like Bile who is like will jump from paymaster to paymaster, just jumping up the pay scale to try and hide behind different people to get to his own ends. And Huron, who will literally hold blood games just to find someone worthy of getting an investment. Like he's Alan Sugar, but far more visceral and far more savage. And it's like, okay, yeah. That could be interesting to see as they try and out-murder each other.
Oh, if you had Fabius Bile in there, the Corpse Master would just be really, really angry about the whole thing. Be like, hey, are you trying to sort of step in onto my job here? Just sling your up, mate.
Very good way to, if you wanted to kill the Corpse Master off as well, it'd be a very good way to write him out.
Yeah.
There was one there about the Primarch of the Silver Skulls, but we've addressed that one. Okay. So this was sort of for everybody, but I think this one to go through. If it was money, no object, and I'm assuming the answer is going to be Silver Skull. Please bear with me. If it was money, no object, what is your ultimate model project that you would want to complete? Money, no object, time, no object.
Money, no object, time, no object. It wouldn't be Silver Skulls, actually, because I love them to bits, obviously, but they are pretty basic when it comes to paint schemes, aren't they? And it's like, dip them in that, shove some of that on, boof, done. Something, I mean, my husband did a whole bunch of Minotaurs, which are absolutely to die for. And, I mean, he is really, really good at painting. And I'd love to see that the colour scheme that he used in all of that and everything that he did in that, I'd love to see that expanded out into a massive, massive army. He wouldn't let me help him because they'd come out looking like Silver Skulls. But yeah, oh wow. I mean, the trouble is since I painted my army, there's so many beautiful models that have come out. I think if I was to sort of do anything, it'd be something in the Age of Sigmar world, because the models in the Age of Sigmar range are just divine.
Yes.
They're absolutely divine, and it's like I wouldn't even want to play with them. I just want to look at them.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a display cabinet full of elves, so I'm saying nothing.
Didn't you also buy a bunch of Slaneshi stuff though as well recently?
Shut up. We don't talk about that. Shut up.
It wasn't one of those sort of moments of weakness that Slaneshi is famous for, right?
Well, I mean, it was the Sigvald model. Straight up, Sigvald. Completely
So
sold on
pretty.
Sigvald. Yeah, I'm actually genuinely terrified of painting him, and I'm lucky that I don't own the paints I want, because I've sort of picked up a color scheme, but I haven't got any purples. I've only got half as many golds as I need. I don't have the right flesh paints, so I don't have to worry about painting Sigvald yet, so I can psych myself up for it.
He just keeps carefully getting put on the bottom of the pile.
I mean, to be honest, the pile is 3 Dawn Riders, 6 Sentinels, 4 Wardens, built bit. And I bought a bunch of Ironeth, and most of those aren't painted, so there's a bunch of Ironeth to do. There's all the Cities of Sigmar stuff, and then there's the other Lumineth I bought, and then there's all the Lumineth I'm buying this weekend, and oh god, it never ends.
I've got a friend of mine is actually presently doing a full-on kit bash version of Valkyr, which he sort of sent me the works in progress, and he's nowhere near actually painting it yet, but the pose and the actual model that he's built so far looks amazing. I can't wait to see that finished.
So is there, I know we're sort of getting a bit sidetracked, but in terms of ultimate project, is there a model that or an army that sort of says, this is the one, particularly on that Sigmar side, in terms of the project goal? Is there one that sort of sits there?
There are. I mean, God, Age of Sigmar, you can't make me choose because I like them all too much. All of them. They are.
Good answer.
All of them. In the Age of Sigmar models are all just so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. One a bit more on the literary side. If you had the freedom, and I appreciate you probably might not, if you had the freedom to change any one thing about the setting, what would it be and why?
That's a good question.
I'm going to stab in the dark and say make the Silver Skulls white scars.
No. They are who they are, and I'm quite happy to run with that. I've got no problem with that at all.
That's fair enough.
I suppose to an extent it's already happened. It was going back to the conversation we had earlier about sort of moving forward. It's just that push to actually get things going again, and there's like this lovely surge of sort of reignited enthusiasm for doing what they're doing, and it's like getting past what felt like an in-universe, not real world, but in-universe stagnation, and actually going, yes, we have our purpose back again. We know what we're doing. We're doing it, and yeah, I think to a degree, what I would have liked to have seen has actually happened. So I don't want to push my luck.
Yeah, that's very fair. Okay. And one more. If you could take any technology or characters from the Warhammer universe, particularly 40k or 30k, into our world, who or what would you take?
Chainsaws.
Straight in on chainswords.
Have chainsaws. We'll get parking space.
not grav tanks. Not.
Actually, have grav tank will get parking space as well, to be fair. So, yeah. How about both? Just to be on the safe side.
Grav chainsaws.
Oh. Sold.
Remote controlled anti-gravity chainsaws. It's like.
On fire.
Whilst I'm on fire, yes, of course, they must also be on fire. Dear, oh dear. Right.
I love the technology. I actually sort of adding on to the earlier question about what do I like about 40k, it's the fact that everything's broken. And you've got this technology, but only half of it works half of the time. And it's like, yeah, this is great. Give it the good old ritual 3 slaps upside the head. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that covers any particularly targeted questions that sort of were aimed for you. But there's a lot of other questions here that I can go through. And what have we got? That one's particularly for Rem and myself. That's about Astartes, the animation series.
I'm excited for that.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. I've just So in Gathering Storm and some of the new short stories, Magnus the Red now has a, quote, massive army. In addition to a mostly reunited Thousand Sons, the Alpha Legion have joined back together because of ties. Some renegade chapters in the Red Corsairs have made alliances as well with the Crimson King under Blackheart. Is that right, Rem, that Euron's now sort of allied to Magnus?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Fair enough. Apparently, Abaddon is not happy, and Typhus is now working for him. You might get others in place, and even Fabius Bile is thinking of helping Magnus and Huron. So my question is thus, given all of that, would you like to see a campaign book or two where Abaddon and Typhus lead their armies against Huron, Fabius Bile, and Magnus, along with the Alpha Legion? Sort of spice it up from Imperium versus X by having a giant chaos smash fight.
If I nod my head any more vigorously, it's going to fall off.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can imagine it.
Having a big, massive, quote-unquote, chaos civil war would be really
Oh
awesome
my
to do.
goodness. Yes, please. It's like, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
I've got
it'd be
this
a
big
really-
grin on my face right now. It's great.
It would be a really good way to get a new Huron model as well, as he's been like boosted up by Fabius to go toe to toe. Maybe not with Abaddon, but certainly to hang a lot more with sort of these big ancient legends.
Yeah.
It'll give you an excuse to like have Fabius subject Huron to the Rubicon Primaris or something. There you go, Primaris, Huron, Blackheart.
Oh God.
I'm not sure there's enough of Huron Blackheart left to actually do it anymore to him. But
I mean, there wasn't much
yes.
of Pontius Cowgirl left after the.
Fair.
He was just a black light from Monty Python. And it's like, I'm invincible.
It's just a flesh wound.
There we go.
But I think it's probably fair to say that when writing the Gildar Rift, as I may love my Silver Skulls, but Huron Blackheart absolutely has my heart. But don't tell the Silver Skulls. I don't want to get jealous.
And while we're on Huron, given that Huron humbled Honsu and could have killed him without trying, I'm quoting the question here. How would Huron actually manage in a one-on-one against, say, Typhus or someone else, like on that level, like your Typhuses, your Khans, your Aramans, your Lucius? How does Huron hang on?
Well, I remember one thing from Pandorax, like it was like because it was like a time when Abaddon and Huron were allied together, and like Abaddon was this really dour and serious type, and Huron was just basically being a smarmy little git all the time, just pissing off Abaddon. It's like, yeah, but you suck, Abaddon. It's like, shut up.
No, I mean in a fight.
I can imagine. Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
He'd cheat.
I mean, it's chaos. They all cheat.
He'll just look over Abaddon's shoulder and shout, police, and then kick him in the balls.
I think Huron Blackheart is very, very good at knowing his enemy's weakness.
Which in Typhus's case is he's a bit slow. And in Khan's case is if you point him at a wall, he'll probably hit it.
I thought you were going to say in Typhus's case, it's a bar of soap.
Dear, oh dear. And since we had a bit of a chat about interesting documentation earlier, do the Inquisition have any what you might call false flag documents? Say a Space Marine chapter's record's classified, but is actually just a dead end, or a couple of documents marked important simply as a distraction to prevent people finding the actual interesting stuff? Because I mean, the answer's got to be yes, surely.
It's the Inquisition. It probably is, yes, yeah.
Yeah, they do it all the time to each other. As a joke. Maybe. I think so. I think there is a lot of deliberate false trails put out there saying, go and investigate this, but you won't find anything, but we're not going to tell you that.
It's basically just spy versus spy, but in space.
See, I get that reference.
I hope someone else does.
We don't care. We know what we're talking about. That's fine.
Yeah.
And one on Guilliman. Do you think that Guilliman actually believed Call when he questioned him about using the traitor genes as Anchor? Because it's generally considered semi-accepted canon that Call did it. But do you think that Guilliman knows that Call did it?
I'm inclined to say yes. I always got the faint hint of permanent one eyebrow raised sarcasm out of him. It's like, yeah, I know what the truth is.
Yeah.
But let's just go with it.
And in Gates of Bones, like Belisarius is a very annoying, and literally Gilliam is like, Belisarius, just to shut him up. The way I picture that scene, and spoilers, but it's just like there's a conversation going on, and Belisarius is going on, and I just imagine Gilliam just side eye, Belisarius, you know that teacher voice when someone's just going on too much. Certainly, and it's like, excuse me, stop talking now.
Oh yeah, I know that look. I'm a mother. I mastered it early on. It's like, talking now. Shh.
Absolutely. And a bit more of a jokey one. Do orcs believe in something like akin to the tooth fairy, since teeth is their currency and all that?
Definitely. Or can you imagine an orc with little tiny wings? Yeah, I can. No, I can totally imagine an orc with little tiny wings stomping around collecting teeth and leaving more teeth in its place. It's like the tooth exchange.
The tooth crop.
Crop.
I was going to say, you'd never get an orc to do it.
It's a little grot in a fairy costume.
No, it's a squidgen.
A squidgen. I'm not going to laugh. No, don't laugh. Don't. No. I can't get the image of an orc with little tiny fairy wings out of my head now. Thanks for that. Thanks very much.
Hey, you said it.
So for your next story, there you go. Snagrod believed in the tooth fairy. They wouldn't be called a fairy, they would be called like the tooth git or something.
The tooth git. Mr. Bitey.
I mean, if Mike Brooks could have a squid called Princess in his orc novel,
What else would you call a squig?
Lunch.
That's so accurate. Dear, oh dear. Okay. Are there Imperial sanctioned servitors made out of Xenos or other subsapient creatures?
I know there's... Oh god, which story was it? I think there was a Peter Feravari story that had like a Skitari made from a towel.
Yep, that's what the reply comment actually says. Yep, there's a reply comment saying exactly that, but it's borderline heretical. But that's a Skitari, not a servitor. Because obviously all servitors, you think of lobotomized human, and there's plenty of that to go around in the 41st millennium.
In fairness, Skitari aren't that much higher than a servitor, though, in the mental department, let's be honest.
I mean, no. But certainly in terms of standing within the Mechanicus, they're at least, well, not entirely, not respected, but...
See, my instinctive reaction to that is no, that's way too heretical. No, we wouldn't stand for that kind of nonsense. And if we have, we'll keep them tucked downstairs where no one can see them. Only bring them out on special occasions.
Yeah, I can imagine some radical inquisitor who's got all these Xenos weapons things. It's like
server talk.
This creature was too volatile to control and sort of keep under control. So I lobotomized it. It's still a killing machine, but now it's my lobotomized killing machine. I can imagine like some mad inquisitor trying it.
Yeah, I can imagine some Space Marines giving that inquisitor a good kick in for it as well. So yeah.
I just realised you basically just described an ambot.
Did I? Yes, Amble robot. Yes, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, because they use like the brain and nervous system of an Amble, but like they lobotomize and like put in a whole bunch of program blocks to stop it killing everyone randomly, so it just goes dig, dig, dig.
It's a good question, though. I like it.
That's Lost Primarchs. We've answered that one a million times. Genuinely, it feels like we've answered that one a million times.
The names were Clancy and Dave. There we go. Move on.
So, Space Marine recruitment. This should be interesting. What are the exact rules on Space Marine recruitment? Have Space Marines ever recruited from Krieg? And if not, Why not?
Probably because, it's not a Space Marine recruiting world.
I mean, yeah, but why isn't it? I know why it isn't, because you wouldn't want that sort of indoctrinated into the Krieg survivalist mindset and then have to break that indoctrination in order to re-indoctrinate them. It would be a right pain. And also all the radiation poisoning might mean the gene seed rejection.
But that's not really going to be an issue considering, Baal and the Blood Angels.
True.
I think it's more of a case of this is a world designed purely to raise Astra Militarum regiments, clear off, no one else gets a chance. That's why you don't get Space Marines recruiting from Catachan.
Yeah. But I guess, the Space Marines definitely play by very stringent rules. If they have a home world, they usually recruit from that, unless you're like the Dark Angel, who have the rough, then have all the different worlds all over the galaxy that they just pick and choose from.
Fleet-based chapters still have their own designated recruiting worlds, though.
Oh, they do. And there's the chapter keeps of the Black Templars where they just pick a world and put a recruiting place down on it.
Yeah, the Silver Skulls don't just recruit from Versavia.
Yeah.
Because they'd never get anybody. Because it's such an isolated, sort of not terribly densely populated world that they'd run out of new recruits pretty darn fast.
And there's also a selection of the population they don't recruit from because they're cannibals, if I recall. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. There's sort of native tribes in the south, in the sort of southern hemisphere of the planet, and they all come with their own quirks. And yeah, one of them is a cannibalistic tribe.
But then the Space Marines, they'll eat the brains of their enemies, so...
Don't get technical.
yeah, but there's a difference between having a small portion and then eating an entire body.
Yeah, having a skin snap to find out a bit of information is different, yeah, than spit roasting an entire Space Marine.
I'll leave the ethics committee to argue, and just move on. Rev's dying, so I'm just going to keep going. With the Indomitus Crusade being rewritten to now only be in Phase 1, which was done with the rewrite of Dark Imperium and all of that, and Dawn of Fire, are you expecting that we could see a big sort of Imperial figure returning to the fold, say, the long-lost Constantine Valdor, or one of the other Loyalist Primarchs?
I hope not, personally. Because if we bring back another really huge figure, like a Primarch, for example, all it does is just make Guilliman's return less special and important and impactful. Because Guilliman's return was such a massive deal. Because holy crap, one of the Loyalist Primarchs is back. This is a huge deal. And I know some people say yeah, but the Demon Primarchs. Yeah, but the Demon Primarchs never really went away though. They were still there over the 10,000 years. They were just demons now.
Yeah, they were there. They were just being lazy rather than being gone. Then again, I say that, Lion.
Galaxy is a big old place, They can't be everywhere at the same time. They've got to be off doing something.
Yeah. And also, Tag, the Lion, he's sleeping, so he's even lazier. He's not even gotten out of bed yet.
I mean, absolutely.
That's one heck of a snooze button.
Yeah, I feel like they'll probably go down one or two routes because they keep talking about primarizing Dante at some point. He talks about it himself in Darkness in the Blood, about taking the Rubicon and things like that, since he's the warden of Imperium Nihilus. I wonder whether they're trying to set up for Lion or someone to be the big guy in Imperium Nihilus whilst Guilliman runs Imperium Sanctus. As you said, the galaxy is a big place, so there might be enough room for there to be maybe almost a hidden figure helping to protect the Imperium but never coming out of the shadows to run it because they don't want to get in Guilliman's way or something like that. I don't know. And I'm just throwing it out there at this point.
Right in the middle on that. On the one hand, I agree. I think getting another Primarch back into the picture would cheapen the return of Guilliman. On the other hand, it also makes that whole galaxy that bit bigger, and it appeals to people who might not like Gilliman.
Which is a lot of people if you believe the internet.
I don't believe the internet. That's a dangerous path to walk.
You read it on the internet, therefore it must be true.
But I think there's a certain inevitability that big characters need some kind of front and center at some point. But it's when that point is harder to say.
Yeah, because having it just be Gilliman v. Abaddon again, or well, I know it's the demon. You can have a rotating gallery, big chaos dudes to get in Gilliman's way, but having Gilliman and the Imperium narrowly overcome the odds and just keep John Cena-ing their way through everybody in a rotating gallery. I feel like there might come a point where that does get stale. It might not be next year. It might be in 10 years. But I feel like at some point they're going to run out of things to do with Gilliman.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Barry Allen can only run really, really fast and change the timeline so many times before it becomes old.
Yeah, we'll see. I suppose we will see exactly what they decide to do. And final one, I think, on questions. Staying with Gilliman, actually, but jumping across to Tau. If Gilliman read the Book of the Beast, or Farsight has read the Codex Astartes, that's how he wrote his Mirror Codex. But how sort of do you think that those sort of like peerless military strategist authors kind of view each other? Because obviously Gilliman's not going to have read the Book of the Beast, but Farsight read the Codex Astartes, and then he wrote a counter argument of how to beat it.
Does Gilliman even know about the Tau?
I feel like he knows because the Tau Empire...
More importantly, does he even know who Farsight is?
No, he'll probably know who the Tau are because they're not that far from Ultraman. But he probably doesn't know who Farsight is.
So who's this crazy blue man in a giant robot suit with a sword?
Wait, you mean he read my book and realised that it wasn't perfect?
I have that. It just goes like, no. It's like, oh, he read my codex. Well, good thing I got the Primaris, which aren't in the codex. Haha, take that now, you little git.
Or you could go out on a limb and say one military strategist affords another one the respect of their station. Doesn't mean they have to agree with each other.
Oh no, absolutely. And I think if Farsight was on a high enough galactic standing to be noticed, then I think there'd probably be okay, I don't like you, I have to murder you, but you are good at what you do. But he's so far off Gilliman's radar, and as a Tau player, that hurts, but he is. He's not on Gilliman's radar.
I don't think I'd want to be him when he gets on that radar, to be honest.
No.
Because that's not going to end well.
No, and literally, as someone said it in another comment, the only reason the Tau was with that plot armor being the Imperium just has too much to do to actually deal with them.
Just wait over there. We'll get to you later.
I'm just imagining that one scene from Endgame, but with like, Farsight. It's like the Ultramarines like plow through the Farsight enclaves. If the Ultramarines just plow through the Farsight enclaves, and then Farsight goes like, "You took everything away from me," and Gilliman just goes, "I don't even know who you are."
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch and Thanos. That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite sad. No, I don't like that. No, that's not allowed to happen.
No,
we're still waiting.
Gilliman wouldn't be that unprepared.
We're still waiting for the Farsight heresy to occur anyway. So.
Yeah, it's one option. It's definitely one option. But we'll see.
Especially with that vision of him being a champion of Khorne in Empire of Lies, with the crown of bones and that, choking out Kais and Shadow Sun at the same time, or screaming.
Oh, they've definitely planted the seeds of it. But I think Farsight had his maybe not his Davin moment, but his chance. He learned everything there was. He learned everything he could from looking into the warp and seeing how much there was beyond the veil and how much it could shake and collapse the Tau Empire to its core. And he walked away. Rather than use it to overthrow everything, he actually walked away.
That's because Magnus wasn't there to ruin it.
Horus had fallen before Magnus got involved, let's be...
I know.
But
I just want to blame Magnus anyway, because it's funny.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
On purpose.
On purpose.
He did everything wrong, but not on purpose.
It was an accident.
No, big sign, do not mess up. Boy, this looks hard.
Now hold this and don't drop it, okay? Okay? Do not push this button. Yeah,
I seen from Father Ted with Dougal in the plane.
Yeah. Yes.
The heartbeat getting louder and louder.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
There. Right, I think that covers us pretty much on questions. I don't think I've got every single one, but certainly sort of the more open directed, I think I've got the majority. So if you have any questions for us for the next episode, please do leave them in the comments below with the word question, and we'll do our best to answer them next time.
Indeed. So you're still yet to finish Scarebones, haven't you?
I'll be honest, knowing that we had a Black Library author this week and that was going to take a lot of time talking books and bits and bobs, I haven't really touched it, to be honest. I'm getting there. It's Easter holidays next week, so I'm going to get there.
I feel flattered. I'm an excuse. I love it.
But you do tell me earlier, Rem, you got more done.
I finally finished Mortis, yes.
It's a chunky book, isn't it?
About 600 plus pages, yes.
Oh, blimey. Right, Go Gadget spoiler section. Here we go.
Right, before I do that, I just want to say, I wish I read this book before I made a couple of videos last couple of weeks. Because, oh, that happened, right. Bugger.
So where were we when we left off? As I Dead Titans, wasn't it? And John Grammaticus tried to kill the Emperor, or Ollie Pius tried to kill the Emperor.
In a flashback scene, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Just to warn you at the level of man starting, dear viewer.
Right, let's start with something a bit simpler, because we mentioned last time how Shaban Khan was rumoured to have died. He's not dead.
What?
He's not dead. No, he thought he died, but no, he's clinging to the edge of life. He's riding off into the Chigoran, afterlife. He's on his horse, riding into the sunset. He's got his fallen brothers around him, like Takata Yusuge and all that. And they're all saying things like, no backward step. And then Shaban's going, no, I need to go back and finish this because, this isn't right. So he wakes up from his death coma, kills a few more monsters, mutants and demons. The Imperial Army officer who is with him, he ends up unfortunately dying, but he carries his body with him. He's got the baby with him, ends up marching through no man's land, gets to the Imperial lines. Yeah, and people are like, wait, someone's coming out of no man's land. It's one of ours. Holy crap. And everyone starts cheering. It's yay, someone managed to survive all that crap. And it's oh, he's got a baby.
What do we do?
Yeah, the white scars are that way. It's thanks. What's your name? Shaban Khan. In a proper badass moment. Shaban Khan lives. What else? Oh yeah, some people might be wondering why I haven't touched upon the Free Tequila Kirill Cinnamon story. In this, it's because not much really happens that's really worth talking about. It's that simple, really. There's only 3 or 4 chapters where they really do anything, and it's not much. The only major thing is that Tequila is basically forced to sign a document saying that she publicly denounces her faith even though she still keeps it. But it's it's for the greater good. Not the Tau one, obviously.
Not that it lasted that long either anyway. Within a millennium, the Imperial takes over.
Exactly. But by the end of it, Basilopho is released from his jail cell. Basilopho basically being evil HR Giga. He was the one who was basically being tasked with, devising a weapon that can kill both Space Marines and Primarchs alike. It's kind of a desperate thing. It's we need to do this. And we need this madman's help. It's yes, you do. Haha. But now I'm free. To be continued. Next major plot point. The Dark Angels on Terra. Most of the Astronomicon is fucked, to put it lightly, because of the demon's presence from last time.
Yep.
So, of course, when it's going, how the hell are we going to fix this? to which the librarian accompanying him, who's actually one of the Fallen,
What?
he suggests, do you know there was a couple of Fallen in Corswain's ranks? Corswain wasn't aware of them, though. They're secret Fallen, because they're doing things for the good of Caliban, you see.
Okay, right, yep, now following.
The librarian says to Corswain, we could use the powers of Caliban, and Corswain's like, what the hell do you mean? There are secrets on Caliban which we could use to, fix the psychic beacon.
Demons.
And Corswain just goes, do what you can.
Demons.
Goes off. Is it demons or is it something else? But anyway, so librarian's going down, one of the corridors of the Hollow Mountain, and meets two more of the Fallen who are with him. And these two Fallen basically saying, you shouldn't have said that. What good does helping here do for Caliban? We're only meant to be looking out for Caliban, you see, and now you're going to pay. The librarian turns around and says, you're meant to still be on Caliban. We don't know who this is, but he, knocks the librarian the fuck out. Now, let's be honest, it's not going to be Luther, I don't think. My money's on it being Cypher.
Yeah, my brain immediately went Cypher.
Yeah. But while this is happening, Corswain does make contact with Rogal Dawn. Because Rogal Dawn's in a strategium, and there's a signal coming in, and one of the adepts says, we're getting a signal from the Hollow Mountain. It's like, patch it through. It's like, this is Seneschal Corswain of the First Legion, and everyone starts cheering. It's like, the Dark Angels are here, yay! It's like, how many with you? 10,000 warriors in the Hollow Mountain. And where about the rest of your legion? They're not here.
Ha!
Fuck.
Yeah.
Literally everyone's expressions goes like, oh.
Never mind.
You're
then.
alone. Fuck. We're fucked. But as they're having this discussion, while they're initially cheering, no one's monitoring the computer systems.
Oh no.
And it's only when someone shouts Dawn's name really loudly at the end, it's like, Dawn. Mortis are at the walls.
Oh,
They're
bother.
breaking through. And then Rogal Dawn's giving a speech that cuts several scenes across the battlefield. People on the walls are desperately trying to shut down the plasma reactor so it doesn't blow up the walls and that. And you end with the Dies Irae basically rearing back and roaring essentially before it punches through the walls. As when I say punches, I mean
Is
using
Ray a
its weapons.
zombie at this point, or is it still running?
It's possessed. It's not a zombie, but it's demonically augmented.
But remember I'm just thinking about last time that the Titan died and then got back up again.
Yeah, the Dies Irae wasn't killed. It's just a demonically augmented Emperor-class Titan.
Okay. So it's not...
Nothing could go wrong.
No. But that being said, there were a few scenes prior to this, with the time battle between Ignatum and Mortis, when you had the Ordo Sinister marching onto the battlefield. And the Ordo Sinister, you had one Ordo Sinister Warlord Titan telling the Ignatum Titans, you're going to fire your vortex missiles on this coordinate, and you're going to do what I say. And Ignatum was like, you will fall in with and take command from us. And Sinister's like, no, I'm bloody not, mate. My authority outranks you. You will fire on this coordinate now. They fire a vortex missile. The Ordo Sinister Titan walks into the vortex.
Oh, God.
No, they haven't seen the best bit. It absorbs the vortex from the vortex missile and then unleashes it from its cannons like a huge weapon to kill a shit ton of Titans in one blast. Because Ordo Sinister.
What?
Psi Titans, obviously, remember? Vortex missile, it's basically a huge portal of warp energy. It absorbs all the warp energy and discharges it out.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah, I know it's not a black hole launcher, but what? That's mad.
It's awesome is what it is.
I mean, it sounds absolutely ridiculously awesome on paper, but it's also freaking hilarious. It's allowed to be both.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm saving the best till last here. The pretty big, massive fuck-off twist that happened in this is in regards to Elanius' pious story. And yeah, let me say that again. Fuck. massive big fuck of story twist comes with Alanius Pius' side of the story and his crew of merry men. Because...
Well, last time he was found to have stabbed the Emperor and been at various points in the Emperor's history. What did he do this time? Accidentally fall to chaos and bribe the Chaos Gods into giving the Emperor the power on Molech?
No, not quite. So everyone's trying to escape from, the corrupted hives, spire and all the gardens and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They get to this one clearing where there's a bunch of statues. And it turns out these statues are alive, naturally. And there's a very brief firefight with some Emperor's Children Marines. And then two characters show up. One of which is a space marine in scaled armor calling himself Alfarius. Whether this is actually Alfarius, it's probably not. It's probably just a random Alpha Legionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
The second character is a woman named Acte, who is a woman wearing red robes and is blind. And she tries to talk to Alanius Pius and saying, we can help you because we know what happens when the war ends. We know how to end the war. John Grammaticus turns around and says to Alanius Pius, don't trust her. You cannot trust her. I should know because Daemon Prytanis tried to recruit her into the Cabal. This is Cyrene Valantian, the Blessed Lady of the Word-Bearers.
Oh, bloody hell.
She's on Terra now, and working with the Alpha Legion, it seems.
And God knows what side they're on.
It's just like, it was like a full-blown, what? Because when it said, like, my name is Acte, she's wearing red robes, she removes the veil from her face to reveal blind eyes. John Grammaticus recognizes her as Daemon Prytanis trying to recruit her into the Cabal, because that's where we last saw Cyrene Valantian, was Daemon Prytanis saying, come with me to join the Cabal, in Betrayer.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the way back in Betrayer, bloody hell. But yeah, so Cyrene Valantian is now joining up with Alanius Pius and crew now.
So, right, hang on. So, Valencian was taken by Prytanis to join the Cabal.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cabal tried to recruit the Alpha Legion to side with the traitors so that the traitors would win and destroy Chaos.
Correct.
So, by that logic, Grammaticus is therefore correct that she cannot be trusted, because in theory, these two are both agents of the Cabal working to destroy the Imperium in order to destroy Chaos.
Correct. But there's one thing that Cyrene does point out, which we know to be true from the events of Old Earth. The Cabal is no more. That much we know.
True.
If Cyrene was part of the Cabal, she's the only member left.
Yep, because Eldrad went on a murder spree.
Yep. But what appears to be happening is that Cyrene seems to be looking for the quote-unquote edge of the coin. Like, to use Legacy of Kain as an example here. Like, if you got like two outcomes, each outcome being one side of the coin. But if you flip it a coin enough times, it'll land on its edge.
So you want to find the
third.
Yeah, the no one wins option, as it would be.
The third
in this
option,
case.
yeah. The third option. The mythical third option, yes.
Yeah, because obviously Imperium win, Chaos win. The middle option there is no one win, right?
Pretty much.
Which is pretty much what happens. Horus dies and the Emperor dies too. So it kind of, well, dies air quotes. So I feel like that's what's going to happen, is that they're going to thread the needle and hit that edge. But
that's what seems to be going for, yeah. But they escape the hive, and they get into a conveniently located aircraft, which was outside the hive.
How convenient.
Yeah. And they make their way towards the palace, and that's the end of their story for now. So, yeah, I think the big twist of it being Cyrene Valantian makes me think I should have held off on that Cyrene Valantian video by about 2 months.
Oh, dear. So, just to clarify, going back to Mortis, is the wall down by the end of the novel?
At the end of the novel, Desiree is breaking through the wall.
So the wall is falling, but not yet down. Okay.
No, it's basically ending on a dramatic cliffhanger, like, the figurative punch to the camera, as it were.
Yeah,
If that
okay.
makes sense.
Yep, I follow.
And considering, like, in previous established that was Desiree did break the wall, that was previously established, so... Yeah.
So I guess
Next book, the Inner Pass is going to start being swarmed by traitors.
And we get the answer of who made it first, Angron or Khan?
And then you find out it's someone else entirely, going, haha.
Yeah, we should also... I think is this the point where Sanguinius breaks Cabal's back? That's still to come, isn't it?
That's still to come.
Yeah. Because obviously...
Because of the demonic, the psychic wars the Emperor had around the palace, demons can't go beyond a certain point.
Yeah, so they've got to do it at some point, and certainly it's not at Eternity Gate, is it? No. Is it? I feel like
it was Lionsgate, wasn't it? No, it's not Lionsgate, is it?
Yeah, Lionsgate, the spaceport. It was Eternity Gate.
Yeah.
Huh.
It must have been Eternity Gate, yeah.
Yeah, I assumed that the wall would go, the Psycho wall would go a bit further than it. That was all. Because Eternity Gate's like the last door, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so suffice to say, shit's getting real.
Yeah, and fair play to all of the Siege of Terror writers, really, for manage to balance so many revelationary plot threads, like dropping bombshell after bombshell. It's taken us 3 episodes to go through Mortis, bombshell by bombshell, and still feel like a cohesive narrative, because I can't feel like that's the easiest job to do.
No. But yeah, how many of the mainline novels we've got left? We've got 3 left, haven't we?
Yeah, because it's 8 total, so 3 left. So it'll be Eternity Gate, then it will be
Vengeful Spirit,
and then the Aftermath, I wager.
I'm still sad we yet to get a Fall of Caliban novel, but hey.
We'll get there in the end. But
We'll
are we...
eventually.
Spoilers done?
We can end spoilers now, yes.
Okay, welcome back, spoiler people, in that case.
Yes. I can't believe Lex Luger did that, man, you know what I mean?
Every time. At least it wasn't a CM Punk reference.
No. I mean, to be honest, I think Lex Luger showing up on the first episode of Nitro was even more shocking, but hey.
Oh dear.
Hi again, Sam.
Oh dear. Sorry, something funny just got said, and it was quite amusing. Apologies.
Yes.
All right. Trying to think, because we normally do the questions after this, and this is the part where I wish I'd read Gate of... I'd have something to talk about now, rather than just like, because I haven't had time to read anything. Though I am going to be getting onto, once I've got through Gate of Bones, I've got the Caiaphas Cain novel, still need to finish Covens of Blood, and I am going to be picking up the End of Enlightenment, Lumineth, an Ossiarch novel that takes place sort of during Broken Realms Teclis. So plenty still to read on that front.
I've got on the way that new Blood of the Emperor anthology, the Primarch short stories.
Yeah.
Which I haven't. So I'll probably read at least 1 or 2 stories of that for the next episode. Because one of them seems to be implied to be the Russ origin story, which should be interesting. Because we've not actually had that yet.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, we haven't had a concrete one anyway. Like there's the rumor of raised by wolves for a bit, then the Kingdom of the Russ and all of that. So there's a vague timeline, certainly be spelled out.
Yeah, you think Gilliman would get the raised by wolves, but hey.
That's a Romulus and Remus reference. Shout out anyone who got that reference.
I mean, Gilliman is space Roman, so...
Oh, I know, but like that's niche. Like that's niche history. Well done.
I guarantee there's going to be at least someone in the comments saying, "So, what's this got to do with Star Trek?"
Dear, oh dear.
There's bound to be one. Anyway,
and it will be you.
Rem's the walk.
Yeah, I'll just leave a comment in the video saying what she's got to do with Star Trek.
Rem's the walking Warhammer encyclopedia.
I'm not.
Oh, I don't know. I reckon my other half could probably match him for that. It's like he just spouts 40k knowledge randomly, like an echo going off when you don't want it to. Amazing. So I can't even say its name in case it talks back to me.
Pet servo skull on the shoulder, I suppose. Always got the useful information when required.
One of those two things.
Right. Oh, I closed the thing. That wasn't very clever of me. Well done, Tack. Because I haven't had a gush about the Lumineth because obviously I got to do that last week. A lot of what we've seen this week for the Lumineth is just looking at the different rules they're getting, like for the Wind Riders and the Huracan, the Venari Blade Lords who've got magic banners. They can't deflect bullets anymore, which is sad, but you know. And I think you mentioned this earlier in the chat, Sarah. Riding around the battlefield, stylish floating temple is the most Lumineth thing ever, with reference to the Shrine Luminor.
That is, yeah. I want one to go with my tank and chainsword, obviously.
Yeah, they are really cool. And to be honest, like, the faction terrain is something I've never really bought. But that one has got me completely sold, and it looks like it's going to be quite useful as well in terms of, buffing up magic because, Lumineth be constantly doing spells. Oh, the regimental stand. 5 reasons the Strakari should fear you. This should be funny. I don't normally get a chance to read the regimental stand, but this should be. This should be good.
I think the last one I actually read was the one about the canned amble. That was a long time ago, I think that episode was.
So what have we got? Their poisoned weapons aren't even that poisonous. Their armor offers no protection. Their best warriors are just show-offs. Their hybrids are liabilities, and they value their lives.
I mean, that's blatantly a weakness in warfare, let's be honest. That was a joke, by the way.
Flawless crisis instructions for humans. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to carry a sacred artifact. Are you a fan of antiques? Do you like learning new ways to destroy the Emperor's enemies? Would you like to be remembered forever in the annals of your regiment? We're looking for guardsmen with a strong work ethic and stronger arms to carry sacred relics and use them. The ideal candidate will be an expert marksman, well-versed in history, and not averse to being hideously burned in the line of duty. Benefits: carry a piece of Imperial history, which is a plasma gun, by the way. Extensive training with the Adeptus Mechanicus, which will consist of 1 hour learning the canticle of Plasma Awakening and which way to point it. Early retirement: we promise you'll serve in no more than a handful of engagements, reason not included, and guaranteed inclusion in your regiment's historical record. Essential: at least 6 weeks active service and willingness to die for the Emperor. What a job advert.
I see, all I can hear is the holy hand grenade of Antioch. It's oh, love it.
Yeah, I never really get a chance to read the regimental stand. I really, because it is, every time I do actually get a chance to look at it, it is always funny. It is always funny.
There you go. Here's a question for you two. Is what is your thought generally on the use of humour in a setting like 40k?
Absolutely essential.
Yeah, I've got no issue with it.
I feel. Oh, sorry, go on.
Providing it's
I
done
was going to
well,
say there's quite a lot of, yeah, exactly. It's got to be the right pitch and tone. But there are quite a few people I've seen over the years who don't like it, for want of a better way of putting it.
Absolutely. I think that you've got to time it right. Like, having every single fight scene undercut with a joke wouldn't work. But if you've read The Infinite and the Divine, that book is almost entirely running gags between Orican and Tristan trying to one-up murder each other. And it's hilarious, but it's also fantastically written. Everything that has an orc in it is hilarious because it's the orcs.
Apart from the Beast of Rises series.
Apart from that. But generally, like Crisis of Faith, where you get a bit of time, or Empire of Lies, where you get a bit of time with the orcs, is always hilarious because they're constantly trying to one-up each other, and it's brilliant. Granted,
I mean, to be honest, even in Crisis of Faith, you know, that interaction between Farsight and Shadow's son, where Farsight's trying to be a bit, you know, romantic and flirty, and Shadow's like, stop that, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, there is always just there's room for humour, and it's kind of like a bit of an odd reference.
Oh, I think there was actually it was one of the Horus Heresy books. Bloody hell, which one was it? But yeah, like he has some Ultramarines on a ship, and the ship's gravity generators are gone, so basically everyone's floating, and the Ultramarines sergeant's like, theoretical, we go down here, you know, practical, let's do this, and one of his subordinates goes, we float from a crag.
Ultramarines making jokes.
Yeah, the sergeant just looked at him and said, like, this is not appropriate.
That's made me laugh way more than it should.
I think that those moments of humour actually serve a really important purpose in the whole grim darkness of it all, because it makes the grim darkness even darker.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and also the fact that when the humour embraces the dark gallows humour, sort of that as well, if you cut it right, which generally they almost always do, the writing team. They almost always.
So I found the passage. It was from, it looks like it's from Pharos. Galus, bring us in. We shall dock. Chaos, take 4 of our brothers around the back of the station, come in from the rearmost airlock. Let us see them try catch us unawares when we come at them from 2 directions. Caius grinned. We float from a crag. Lethicus scowled at him. Caius' humour was sometimes unfitting for a member of the 13th Legion.
Just a bit.
It's not like you can almost imagine the tumbleweed going by just after he says it.
Yeah,
there's one more bit. It's like, just get over there and be ready to attack when I command. Yes, Brother Sergeant.
Sorry.
You can make all the jokes you want, just do your damn job.
I mean, Aiden the Field did. He was a wisecracker.
On the crag.
He probably became a Silver Skull.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting thought experiment. Like, if Aeonid Thiel survived and went on to found his own chapter, Nasir Amit style, you have to wonder what that chapter would be like.
Well, we know he survived because in Dark Imperium he was the captain of the Second Company when the Ultramarines launched the attack on against the Emperor's children.
Yeah. But if he'd gone on to do a Nasir Amit and found his own chapter, like, what would the Aeonid Thiel chapter have been like?
Smart asses.
Absolute smart asses.
Wore clown shoes and red noses.
And probably a very good knack of twisting the Codex Astartes just enough to annoy the Ultramarines chapter master while still getting the job done.
So that's the chapter titles actually belong to. Right.
The chapter could be the loopholes. There you go.
The interpreters. We interpret the Codex Astartes this way.
To the best possible cause, yeah. Well, sorry, that was a very random question that I threw at you.
No.
Sort of taking it back to the point is that I love the stuff that comes out of the Warhammer community thing. I really do. I love it.
Yeah, it has been a real blessing, Warhammer community. Like Warhammer community, the website. Never mind everything else like Warhammer Twitch stuff, Hangout and Hot. I don't really get time for that. It's in the middle of the week and I'm teaching. But just I can clock off from work, come home and check whatever. It's like, okay, that's what's come out this week, or that's what they're previewing at the moment. It's just a way to stay connected to the worlds of Warhammer very easily, yeah. even if you are out of the hobby or not interested in what's going on. Like there are some weeks where you're like, oh, that's what they're doing. Oh well, not for me, but you can still see all the cool stuff, and you don't miss out the same way because it's not like White Dwarf where they reveal a bunch of stuff in White Dwarf, If you didn't buy White Dwarf, you just didn't know. And then
Yeah.
it was on the shelves. And whilst there is so much hype that they kind of rely on hype to sell everything a little bit, but that they never fail. Like the trailers in the preview, like they are just the marketing department do a wonderful job at convincing you need to buy something, which is their job. And it's really good. The animation department with the video trailers, which is another place where they constantly do amazing comedy, is the video trailers. Yes, please. They're always hilarious.
Yeah. No, but no, I love to see that engagement with the wider community, and yeah, it's nice to see.
Yeah, like I can imagine if we were doing this podcast 10 years ago, there'd be no way we could engage with Black Library and get Black Library authors up like yourself on the podcast. There'd be no way. But it is great to be able to interact with people from within GW who've been with GW, who've worked with GW, and just get that, not insight behind the curtain, but just enough of an insight into the universe and all that goes into it. It is really, really good fun.
Saying, and I mean, I'm sure my fellow authors won't disagree with this, that everybody invests a lot of love into it, and that shows, I think, in the way that people engage with the communities, and we all love the setting. It's great. It's the best sandpit in the world, and it's a privilege to get the opportunity to play in it.
Yeah. What would you say to anyone who was looking to get involved with Black Library, advice-wise?
Advice-wise, well, it's always keeping an eye out for when they put the open submission windows out, which they do quite on a regular basis now, to be fair, and they usually do themed ones, which makes your job even easier. Is always read what it is that they're looking for. Always don't try and think outside the box too much. Know what there is already and work off of that. Don't try and be clever, because that's not what they're looking for. If they say we're looking for a story about an orc tooth fairy, then write a story about an orc tooth fairy. You know, it's don't try and write something that roughly takes that, going back to the interpreters a little bit there, but it's do something simple but do it well, rather than try to do something complicated and which doesn't work out in your favor.
Yeah, it's kind of like any job interview. Like, you've got to get your foot in the door before you do the innovative stuff that you really want to. You've got to get your, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the open submission windows are fantastic for that.
Fair enough.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I'm sure that there's many people who are sat at home thinking, you know what, that little bit of fan fiction I've written, I'm just waiting for the right submission window, and then finally I'll put it in. And yeah, I really hope that they keep doing those things, because it's led to a lot of really good work, like the novella series, things like that, probably are quite populated with submissions winners. The other thing they don't do, I feel like after a submissions window, it'd be quite nice to know who won, or get to read like the raw drafts that won, because obviously some of them get rewritten into novellas, but it'd be quite interesting to like see what won, or know who won going in, because then you know who to keep an eye out for in the next release cycle. I guess.
What you never want to see is one of my first draft pitches. You never ever want to see that, because it's just full of nonsense.
Yeah.
Going back to A Cursed Eternity, for example, there was some crossover with the story that John French wrote in the same anthology.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent a lot of time exchanging emails with to make sure that the ideas married up. And what I was going to do was going to tie into something that John was doing, and vice versa. And I distinctly remember one exchange of emails when I said to him something about the warp and the Marines, or I don't know, hot dogs or something. You know, this is the warp, whatever. and it's just all this nonsense that gets thrown about that obviously later becomes much more serious, and then no hot dogs are involved.
Yeah, I suppose. Do people often? I know this might not be a thing particularly, but do people come to you quite often like, Sarah, I'm looking to have a Silver Skull cameo, or I'm looking to use Huron Blackheart as my villain. Is there anything behind what you've written that I should be aware of, that you'd like me to use? Have you had those sort of emails from people in terms of like?
I have, yeah. There's been a couple of occasions when people have said, I want to use a particular character, or I think one of the Red Corsairs characters was in the Hollow Worlds, if I remember rightly.
Tyrant of the Hollow Worlds. That's here and stuff. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, and one of the characters that I had, I was specifically asked, is it all right if I use this guy? This is what I want to do with him, and are you okay with that? And it was like, you don't, be happy. I'm perfectly fine. He's not mine. He's everybody's. He's well disposed to anybody writing for him. But it's enormously flattering when somebody comes and says, "Oh, can I use this character?" It's like, yeah, please take said character. And there is a lot of communication between different writers.
Yeah,
and that's something that I've always really, really loved.
Yeah, because it's always interesting listening to people like when they were talking about it with Nick Haley, having this oversight on Dawn of Fire, and how the Siege of Terra is like, it's 8 authors and they pretty much cracked the whole thing through together. It's like there's no inconsistency there, because if there's one problem with the Warhammer universe is oh boy, it can be inconsistent in its revelations and it's how it pitches things. The Horus Heresy got quite convoluted at times, but it's good to hear that there is a lot of comms, and especially nowadays, there has to be a lot more solid comms, because, well, there's people like Rem and me who nitpick everything. Sorry.
An author's worst nightmare.
Sorry.
But you're so nice about it, so let you off.
Well.
Mostly.
Well, we don't talk about certain novels. We don't talk about those.
But yeah, the sort of like working together on projects is great fun. I mean, that was even true of the cover artist for Gildar Rift, John Sullivan, when he was doing that cover art, and I was getting emails from him at ridiculous o'clock, which I was awake at as well, so it was fine. We were emailing each other at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, discussing fine details on the picture. And if you look at the picture of Huron Blackheart on the cover of the Gildar Rift, he's wearing a bottle on his belt, and we have in somewhere in my inbox history, I've got an entire chain of emails discussing what's in this bottle. Just the level of detail that goes into it that I think makes it that much more not believable, but it just gives it that extra dimension. I think is so much detail goes into things, right from how it looks to how it writes, and yeah, it's yeah, and that's going back to the question about how would you advise people is look at what there already is.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Oh, blimey, is that the time?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so given the time, we should probably end the show there.
Yeah, good note to end on.
Yes. So, thank you very much to everyone who joined us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much to Sarah Cawkwell for joining us this episode.
Thank you very much. Hope I haven't completely destroyed your show.
Oh, trust me, you haven't seen what happens when this show gets... You ain't seen nothing.
I mean, there's been no instances of food colouring involved yet, so...
Yeah, we didn't mention food colouring when White was on. How did we do that, by the way?
I have no idea. We'll have to make up for it next time.
Absolutely.
So, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
And I'm just some person.
And that was Sarah Cawkwell.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.